What's going on, everybody? It is Saturday. It's 8:54 a.m. I got an offer from DoorDash to go to French Riviera Bakery. I'm gonna get $12.10 plus for 5.1 miles. Let's get on over there. I had a busy morning going to the gas station to get gas for the car at like 6 in the morning. It was freezing cold. The temperature got down to 34 degrees, and it officially now feels like January. And then after I went to the gas station, then I went to Home Depot. I had to get two 50-pound bags of sand for some sandbags. I have this problem with a doorway where water it kind of like leaks. It has like, I don't know if it has gaps or something, but somehow when it rains, water penetrates through the balcony door. So I went ahead and I ordered some sandbags, the actual sandbags without sand on Amazon, and then I went to Home Depot and I got the actual sand for the sandbags. And they just added something: 1 drink and 3 desserts to grab. And that's it. That's oh, and then I went to Walmart, did my grocery shopping, and that's it. So let me park here, head on in, and I'll get started telling you guys more about my financials and how I ended up where I'm at. Hold on. For the order, and it's like 2 bags and some kind of dessert looking drink, some kind of chocolate drink. Gonna be going 11 minutes, 4 miles. We're going to a house. It's a leave at the door. Please do not ring the doorbell.
In 100 feet, turn right onto Coronado Center Drive. Turn right onto Coronado Center Drive. Then turn left. Turn left at Southeastern Avenue.
Getting this lane, I guess. All right, so where did I leave off at in my story? I think the last thing I had said was I had purchased a second house after realizing the backyard was too small for the first house. Oh yeah, and then so at this second house that I moved to, I was further in debt, and I was in way over my head. I had no idea that owning a half acre of property would be expensive, because it was like up against a mountainside, or very close to a mountainside. And it had all this grass, and it had so many trees. It had like a dozen or more trees on the property. And I didn't have any time to maintain any of that stuff. So I had to hire a gardener, and the gardener charged, I think it was around $300 a month. And that was not for the trees. That was just for the gardening of everything else, all the shrubberies and the grass and everything. I could really see how wealthy people really have to have a lot of money to maintain those huge mansion properties. And this was not a mansion property. It was like a ranch house on half of an acre near a mountain. And so anyway, I was in over my head. But I once you're locked in, you're locked in. And when you're young, and I was only probably in my early or mid, no, I was probably in my mid-30s, probably 35 when this was happening. And I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. I was totally learning as I went. So there's 2 aspects to financial security, or there's different ways you could be financially secure. You could do real estate investing. You can do, you know, the stock market. You could start a business. So at this point, I was involved with the stock market, but very passively with that one. And I had like one Roth IRA that I was investing in. I didn't have a significant amount of money in it, and I didn't know what I was doing. And then I was buying these houses, and then knowing that, you know, it's like it's an investment. It's a place to live, and it's an investment. But I really didn't know. I wasn't being strategic in what I was doing. I was actually just doing things uh, just because I felt like doing them, and thought, well, it makes sense. I can afford the minimum payment, or I could afford to put this money aside. So let's see what happens, without any real knowledge. And if I was born in you know, in the way things are today, I feel like I would have a much stronger advantage than I was even back then, because it was really just dumb luck, everything I was doing. In today's time, with you know, with Chat GBT and artificial intelligence, you really have at your disposal like an online coach that you could shoot ideas to now, and the Chat GBT will talk back to you and advise you on what your circumstances are. You could even tell, like, what are the risks in doing this, and it will actually list you out bullet points of what are the dangers and whatever you're deciding to do before you do it. And back then, this was probably around 2005, the internet couldn't do that. All I could do at that particular time is download maybe some bootleg music from Napster, and I had like an iPod, and I could play some music. I could go to the library maybe and do research, but good luck with that. Good luck finding whatever you need to research. The most answers you'd have to hire some professional to figure it all out. So I was at this place, and after the first year, uh, after the first year, not only did I have a 2-hour commute each way to get to work, and uh, and I was going deep into debt. And I also decided to take it to get a couple of dogs and 3 cats. So I was definitely going overboard in what I was doing. So you can imagine all this craziness going on, but then of course I'm young and I got energy to do it. So I'm doing all these things, having a good time, and just hoping for the best, hoping it all works out. But I'm sure if you were watching this on the outside, you would think, well, disaster is going to occur at any moment. And what came next after all the stuff that was going on really was the icing on the cake, as it were. There was a major wildfire that broke out in my area, and it started to rain fire and ash from the sky. So that was really scary. And smoke, the smoke was so bad. I had to stuff towels in the doors because smoke was coming in through the cracks in the doors. So I had to stay up all night with the hose in the backyard and hose down the roof. And the roof was concrete tile, so I wasn't really super worried about the house catching on fire. But I was not about to fall asleep and and wake up to an inferno. So I stayed up all night guarding the house until the fire still was the next morning, and the fire had subsided or had moved on near where I was at. It had burned everything out in the mountainside and had moved on. And yeah, it was crazy. And after that, I said I want to move, but I had only been there for about a little over a year, and I could not move because, of course, property values are continuing to go up, and I did not know. I did not know. I knew that I had to stay there for at least 2 years, or I'd be taxed on the profits of the house. So I had to stay put probably for the next 10 months. I stayed there and just continued to do that really long commute. It was really miserable. And, you know, to look at it, you would think, wow, it would be great if I had a job that was near there, but there was no jobs that were in my industry that were in that area that I could have switched to. And my job was so stable. I was like, there's no way I'm giving up my job to find a job in this part of town, because it was like the middle of nowhere kind of community. So there really wasn't a lot of hope to find a job nearby. I didn't even bother. I'm like, why bother even looking? There's really no point. So so I was basically all stressed out. Oh, and then there's even more that happened now that I remember. There was a family member that was ill that I had to basically become like a caregiver for. Just kind of like be a guardian for. And so that was like, I was basically all stressed out and just trying to just take it one day at a time and not get myself, I try to just take one thing at a time. Just try to just be present, do my job, make sure I don't go bankrupt, and just keep going. And so that went on for the next, that went on for the next 10 months until I got a real estate agent. And I knew that once I sold this house, I was going to move closer to my job so I wouldn't have such a long commute again. All right, we're coming up near the drop-off. Gotta focus here. It's gonna be a leave at the door. I know that. It's the address. Okay. Of course, somebody's behind me. Of course. Pull over. It's this one here. We're here. Oh shoot, should I go to the other side of the car? Alright, let's see. I think I should grab this first. Then grab the drink. Then grab the other dessert. And get to the front door. All right, I got $13.10 for that order. Very nice. Going back online with UberEats. Oh man. Now let's go back home and wait for another one. Drop off was no problem. Easy to find the house, easy drop off. $11. Nope. Oh, let me think, what's the best way to go back? I think I should make a left turn to go back the way I came. That makes the most sense. $6, no. $8 minimum, I think, is what my goal is right now. Let me make this left turn safely and I'll continue on with the story. So I found a realtor when the time finally came where I could sell the property, and it sold really fast. I recall it sold really fast, and I had paid a little over $400 for that property, and it sold for over $700. That's how fast the property values were rising. And keep in mind, this is around the year 2000 and 2005. So I think I got this house around 2003. Okay, 2005 is when it sold. These things happened so long ago. Sometimes I get my years mixed up. But we are nearing the point, as you know, where we had the infamous crash in the housing market, which of course at this particular point in time, I have no idea is coming. I have no idea that this storm is approaching. It's a few years away still, but here I am in this situation. You know, I go from being this poor kid just looking for a job to getting this harebrained idea of getting a house, and thinking it's the right thing to do, but having no idea that the pitfalls that come with owning a house. And so here I am at this point. I sell the house, and I make my way to the next house, and I'm so proud of myself that I was able to sell the house for over $700. You would think I would get something really inexpensive for the next one, because you would think, well, now you should probably not be crazy anymore. Get something that's probably nearby work, that's probably half that amount, and even if it's really tiny, that'll be very practical. That's what you would think I would have done, but I didn't. I did not do that. So I ended up getting the next property for about $800,000. And not only did I do that, but I decided that I would pocket some of the cash for remodeling the house that I was getting for $800,000. And at the next place, it was now closer to work. So I solved that problem. Unfortunately, I decided to get the type of mortgage where you're not paying the principal down. All you're doing is paying the interest only. And my reasoning for doing that as a very stupid person in their 30s was that this will just be a temporary house, and when it's worth $1 million, I'll sell it, and then I'll get something smaller and be more practical. $3.50, Albertsons now. Hold on, something's coming in from UberEats. Let's see. $3, all garbage. Garbage, and garbage. So I made my way now to the new house, and the kitchen was a disaster. It had to be redone. It was all worn out, so I did that. And there was a lot of work that had to be done with this house. It was an $800,000 fixer-upper. And I think at one point that house was worth, at the peak, I think it went up to like 1.7 million at the peak in today's times. I think that was during COVID. It got to that height, and so yeah, that was really a bizarre. That was also really a bizarre. Now I look back on it, that was a really crazy thing to do. $4.25 shop at Michael's. No. So here I am at the next place. Now I'm happy. I'm close to work. I thought, well, now my problems are solved. Everything is going to be just fine. You know, now I won't have these really long commutes anymore. I'll be able to easily go back and forth to work, and there'll be less stress. I'll have more time to spend with my dogs and my cats, and so yeah, so it really was like that. So it did get better. So in that regard, it got better. But of course, I had a ticking time bomb. The interest-only payments were only gonna last for 10 years, and then it was gonna turn into a principal and interest loan, and there was no way I was gonna be able to make that payment, because I think the monthly payment with interest only was, I believe it was around $4,000 a month was the monthly payment. So I already knew. And so all this time that has passed from the time I was 18 years old until now, which is I would be now like in my mid 30s, I still had no money in the bank. I was now house rich and cash poor. Although I did take that money out. Okay, so I did have cash at that time. Okay, all that time up until the point where I sold that house. So at around 35, 36 years old, I finally had money in the bank. I had what? I had probably about, I don't know, maybe $100,000 in the bank, and I was like, okay, everything's working out now. I've got some what they call liquidity to play with, so I should be okay now, and everything should be fine. And so time's passing by, and it was only about 2 years. Is it 2 years? Yeah, let's see that. Yeah, 2 years later. So 2 years passes, and everything's great. And I'm doing all these things, but now I'm not spending so much time driving on the road and taking trains and all this stuff. Everything's good for the next 2 years. And then all of a sudden at work, there's all this talk about layoffs, and everything's starting to become unstable. And you could tell that because this particular company I was working with, they're well in touch with what's going on in the economy. You could tell on the face of the higher up people that there was some fear going on. And of course, I was somebody who was not at that level, so I was basically like a part of a support team. So I understood that something was going on, but I was not exactly sure what it was. And I knew it was going to affect staffing, and because there, whatever it was going to definitely mean layoffs, is what I could smell. I smell layoffs in the air. So and also at this time, this is when YouTube and all these internet things were coming out, where people were starting to make money off the internet. This was actually the transformation period, where actually people could do things that were going to make them money, and they were connected to the internet. There was no Facebook was just barely getting started. There was MySpace and Friendster. So those websites had come out, and people were having some success becoming internet famous, and somehow trying to monetize that. So that was starting to happen. And then there were also these let's see, $11, 11 miles. No. There were also these other sites where people were creating artwork, photography and artwork, and selling them and making a profit that way. And well, I'm getting close to home. I'll continue the story in just a second. Alright, I'm back in the car again, and I got an offer from DoorDash to go to CVS and shop for 3 items. I'm going to get $10.50 for 4.4 miles. I wasn't home that long. I was maybe home for all of about maybe 10 minutes at the most. And something else came in that was good, but it was shopping for 12 items, and I'm trying to just shop for 10 or less items is my goal. So I don't want to do anything that's going to be stressful or difficult. I just really want to just enjoy myself. Just try to have fun with this job. All right, we're arriving at CVS. I'm just gonna park it and then we'll go on inside and start the shopping. I've got a pack of toothbrushes and an oral syringe. The last item is locked up, so that's gonna take the longest, and then I'll be done. All right, that was super easy. 4 miles. Gonna be going to an apartment. It's gonna be a leave at the door. And then a bunch of instructions on what to do when I get there to get inside the building. Alright, what's the best way? I think I need to go a little bit further back. Wait a second, what is this saying? Alright, maybe I don't know where I'm going. It's telling me to go the opposite direction of what I thought I needed to go. So I'll just follow what it says. So yeah, the only item that took a while was the thing that was locked up, and the picture that they showed was the item. They were showing me the item of what it looked like outside of the box. So that was confusing me because the item was inside of a box, and it was a tube they were showing me. They were showing me a picture of a tube, and the picture with the item, the text was in another language. It was like in French. So I did not understand why that was. I thought maybe the picture itself was from another country, and that's why it looked like that. Alright, now what do you want me to do? Okay. So, and at any rate, I was able to find it. The second picture was interesting. In the app, it showed me the actual shelf space, and it had a white square showing exactly where it should be located at that store on the shelf. So that also helped me to confirm it was the correct item once I saw that second photo. And that's the first time I've ever seen that. That's something new they must be doing to help it, so that help the delivery people to more easily locate the item. And forget what I was telling you guys, where I was at in my story. Let's see. I was telling you about how everything at my job at the time, there was this feeling that everything was going wrong, or was something bad was coming. That was the sense. And so it was very strange. I mean, this happened before. It wasn't the first time this weird vibe came over the office back in the day. This was the last time this happened was around the time of Enron, when they had the Enron collapse. I don't remember what year that was, but there was some type of accounting firm or something that went bankrupt. I think it was Anderson something. I don't remember. It was too long ago. But they went out, and there was some sort of affiliation or connection or I don't know. And so because it was a big scandal, and so it felt like the knives were out at that particular point. I thought, uh-oh, is this it? Are we about to get the boot? And so that had passed, but that had at least keyed me in to when there was trouble, even though they would never verbally say anything. There was just the vibe. You get the sense. Your spider sense would tingle that something was up. So this particular time that was happening, it was coming just before the housing crisis. It wasn't, the housing crisis hadn't occurred yet, but it was about to. It was in the year 2007. So I didn't really think it had anything to do with the housing market. I just knew it had something to do with this particular company I was working at, and something was going on. So I I had an opportunity to do some do freelance work, doing corporate design, and I decided that I would possibly do that because it was coming up, and I could possibly do it. And this coincidentally was around the same time they now officially started announcing restructuring. They were saying, oh, you can take a severance package, or you can be a part of the restructuring, but they would not give us any more information about what was going to happen as far as what position we would be put into, and they would not tell us. They wouldn't tell us how much our severance would be. So they just said basically, welcome to Let's Make a Deal. You can pick behind door number 1 or door number 2. Which one do you want? And that's basically what it felt like. You were just picking a door and hoping you picked the right door. So I picked the second door for the restructuring. I'm like, I'll just do the restructuring, that's fine. And so I stayed a little bit longer with this place, and then they did the restructuring, and I of course got a great promotion with a terrible pay cut. So that was the point where I was like, well, I'm out of here. I'm going to start doing freelance stuff, because I can make more money than what they now want to lower my pay to. So I said farewell to that job after many years, and then started doing freelancing and started my own business. And so I checked out of there, and then I took my 401k out of there, and I moved it into an IRA. And I was, of course, very worried about what I was going to do, but I said, okay, I'm just going to be very practical. I'm going to take this IRA and I'm going to put it into a very basic fund, which I think I put it into it was one of those ones where there's a time on it. It's like a time related retirement plan, where it automatically keeps adjusting your portfolio between stocks and bonds automatically. So as you get closer to retirement, you have a greater and greater proportion of your portfolio in bonds. And that's what I had selected. And so now I was just humming along. I was now doing my own business and just having a good time with that. And I was traveling. I was going to different parts of the country, and yeah, and the money was coming in. It was a good decision. And then it was at that time I decided I would also be investigating these websites, specifically more about selling artwork online. So I started looking into that, and there were these different websites that you could go, and they would say, "Oh yeah, upload your artwork, and we'll give you a cut of the money." So they would call it a royalty, like you would own the copyright to your image or your art, and when it sells, we'll give you your royalty, your cut. So I started doing that as well in my spare time when I was in between clients. So this was a whole big transformation. All this stuff was changing. This was a big transformation for me, and was really the first time I had in a long time had returned to the realm of being a self-employed person. I hadn't been really self-employed at that point. It hadn't been for probably 10 years or something like that. It had been a long time. So I was enjoying it, but it was a different time period now. This was now we were now officially in the digital age. The first iPhone had come out, and the internet was now becoming the huge focal point where people were making money. Everybody wanted to create apps. I had so many people ask me if I could develop apps for them, applications, and I'm like, no, I'm not a coder. I said I just do visuals and design stuff. I don't code. But that was the big thing. So I was trying to also, like, in my spare time, like, well, maybe I can learn code. Let me see. And I was like, no, this is not for me. I'm not a code person. So I dropped that idea real quick. All right, we're getting close to the drop off. I've got to focus again. Oh gosh, I think I'm going to be going to this really complicated apartment building that's really difficult to understand. I've been here one time before and I got so lost. We'll see what happens. Let me see what their directions say. At the intercom, press the delivery, turn right into the gate, and leave bag at door in far left corner. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Turn right at the gate. Residents, and guests, turn right here. Is there a gate? Where's the gate? Is the gate over here? Yeah, there's a gate here. Okay. At intercom, press delivery and enter this code. It worked. This door unlocked. Turn right into gate. Please leave bag at the door in far left-hand corner. Turn right into gate. Turn right? What are they talking about? Turn right into gate. There was no right turn. Turn right into gate. Do they mean turn left? Now I'm totally lost. They didn't leave me a apartment number, so let's see. Let's see if I can. Oh, they did. I don't think it's very clear though where I'm supposed to go, so I gotta turn around. What is this narrow? There's some numbers on the building, but of course they're blocked by the. Let's see. Let's try to figure out which door they're at. They're not in that building. They're not in that building. Oh, is it this building straight ahead? Let's see. Yeah, it's this building over here. Oh, it's this building right here. Let me put my hazards on. Alright. Alright. What a crazy situation. Well, let's go out here and take a picture. Alright. I left it in the corner. That was really crazy. I tried to make sure in the picture I got the building number in the photo, because I mean, I think that's the right building, but I could be wrong. It's obviously this place is very high security. So for all I know, I dropped it off at the wrong place, but at least they know where I left it. In the photo, you can clearly see, they could clearly see the building number. And so they can just head on over there, I guess, to get it. I don't know. What a mess. I was really surprised. The last time I went to this place, I parked and I went inside of a door to the actual inside of the building, the interior, and I left it at their front door. And for some reason at this particular time, that was not the case. That really threw me. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a totally different entrance I'm going into, and now they're not letting me park. That was really weird, very different. And I'm going back online with Uber. I'm now at let's see how much money I've made so far. I'm at $23.60, and of course it's a little after 10 o'clock, so I still have some time left to make some more money. And my channel is a lot different from I watch all the other delivery channels, and I know mine is a lot different than what other people do, especially now. I was trying to figure out how to really make my channel different from everybody else's. At first I was like, maybe I should make it similar to theirs, where I'm just focused only on the deliveries and then some commentary. But then I realized that I don't do enough deliveries in a single day. It's usually just a few. And then I tried to compile a whole bunch of them all together, and it just didn't seem interesting to me. So I said, oh, I'll just tell personal stories, which is why I'm doing the series I'm doing now about, how I became financially independent. Because I figure at least that has some interest. People will be interested in that. $6, 3.5 miles. And it's also different from everybody else. A lot of people have, they tell stories about their families, and I'm not allowed to do that. That's the other thing I wanted to mention. I've been married for over 25 years, but I'm not allowed to talk about the family, because they said they were saying if I'm gonna do YouTube videos, I'm not allowed to talk about the family. So I have to kind of keep my stories and anything I talk about strictly related to myself in very general terms, not a lot of specifics for privacy reasons. So all the stories I'm telling you, I'm obviously just trying to focus on myself and my perspective of these situations that I'm going through. So anyway, so I'm back to the story. I'm now self-employed, and I am trying to learn how to make money on the internet. And this is around the year 2007. So I'm making artwork and I'm uploading it, and I think the very first thing that I sold, I think I earned 25 cents was the first thing I earned. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get rich doing this. How is this possibly going to make me any significant amount of money? But I was just going along with it, and in the meantime, still surviving, doing corporate design for big companies. And then I figured out a way to automate the artwork that I was creating, which I had to confirm with the company, the website, if that was okay. And they said that's totally fine. They said as long as your artwork always looks different and they're not exactly the same, that is acceptable. You can do that. So I figured out a way to automate the creation of artwork, not through basic coding in a program. Now, I wasn't doing any kind of fancy coding or anything. I figured out like action scripts to do. Oh God, I don't want to turn around. Oh boy. Well, it's money. Hold on 1 second. Now I've got to turn this boat around. Hold on. Accept. They always send these offers at the worst time, when you're in the worst possible location, to get yourself back on course to drop stuff off. So now I've got to basically go back where I came from. It's like, you could have sent me this offer a long time ago. Why did you send it to me now that I'm so far away from that location? So the next one coming up is from UberEats. I'm going to be getting, and we're going to go to Einstein Bagels. I'm going to get $9.38 for 3.8 miles. Let me pause my DoorDash. That's paused. All right. Oh no, there's no sun. I got to break for a minute from the sun. So, what was I saying? Oh, I automated all of the artwork, and so I went from, and this took place over the next year and a half, 2 years. No, about 2 years. This took place over the next year. So over the next year, I went from having a few hundred images for sale online and making a tiny bit of money, to having thousands and thousands of images. And I was now making probably about, I want to say anywhere from $50 to $70,000 a year. So I was like, well, holy smokes, I'm gonna just focus on this. I don't need to focus on even doing the corporate design anymore, because I'm enjoying this more. And at the rate I'm going, this is going to be my pot of gold. I'm going to be able to just live off this money. I won't even have to worry about my IRA that I just made from my previous job. I thought this is my ticket, and I'll be able to pay off my house. And so I had all these fantasies that I was going to go. I was going to be super successful doing this. So that was happening. So now my business was really rolling. Now my business was off the ground and flying. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Then the bottom fell out in the stock market. This was now, we're officially in 2008, and the real estate market has crashed, and so has the stock market. And my investments in my IRA plummeted 50% or more at the bottom. I could not believe how small it was. It went from being this large amount to this super small amount, and I was like, wow, the money's gone. But of course, I knew from all the things I had read up until that point, never never sell your shares of stocks if the market is down. Just don't touch it, especially retirement. Retirement is so far away, it will recover. So I didn't touch it. I just said, you know what? Just ignore it, like you did with your first 401k that you used to get your first house. That's all you gotta do, is just ignore it and just focus on your success with the artwork you're doing, and everything is gonna be just fine. All right, now we're here at Einstein Bagels. See if I can safely turn in here. A lot of these people cut short on this turn. Everybody's flowing out. It's busy. There's a parking spot near Einstein Bagels. I don't trust that parking spot. I'm gonna park just right here and then head on in and get it. Alright, let's go, everybody. They were so nice in there. They gave me a free water. And the order wasn't ready. So they said, would you like some water while you wait? I said, sure, let me have it. Let's see if I can put it in this little bag here. Usually when I meet at the door, especially on a day like today, I don't want the customer to be too upset with the temperature of their food. Usually here in Vegas, any time of year they don't care about the food being hot or cold. I've noticed that no matter what I do, I mean, as long as I don't mess up their delivery, like drop it and it's all destroyed, my rating on Uber always stays at 100% for satisfaction. So only when I first started doing this job was my rating low. For the most part, I mean, after about, I don't know, 3 years of doing this, my rating kind of always stayed fairly solid. And I don't know if it has to do with my personality. Like when I deliver and they see me and they see I'm not nervous, I'm just kind of like, oh hey, and then they get their stuff. I don't know if that's the reason why. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. But they always seem to be very happy with how I deliver. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll just keep doing what I'm doing until I notice otherwise. I hear them say something. I remember when I first started doing DoorDash, I didn't know what I was doing. And I forgot to pause my DoorDash. Let me pause it. When I first started doing this, I was so bad at it. In fact, one customer actually told me that I was the worst delivery driver they've ever seen. I was like, dang, that's harsh. I couldn't believe it when they send me that text message. I'm like, are you really just text messaging me just to let me know how much you don't like my delivery service? That was really I think that's the most offensive comment I ever got. I don't think I've ever gotten anything like that since, but that just goes to show you how much it affected me that I remember it all these years later. That person actually had the nerve to say that. And either I don't remember even what I did. I don't know if I didn't maybe shop for everything she said, or if I didn't follow her it was a lady, and I don't know if I didn't follow her instructions right. I don't remember. All right, we're here at the community. They gotta open the gate for me. There's usually a guy here. Hi, UberEats.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, have a nice day. I'm not doing any shopping at Costco. They're so nice here at this place. You just tell them you're a delivery driver and they just let you in. Every one of these communities is different. Some of them are real strict. It's like getting into Fort Knox. And other ones, you just tell them, hey, and they just open the door. They all have different rules. So, while we're already in the neighborhood, I don't want to get too sucked into a story, but I'll tell you, inside of Einstein Bagels, I was stuck in there for a long time. The food wasn't ready, and it was packed with people. And there were 2 other delivery drivers waiting inside of the Einstein Bagels. They got their orders and were on their way. And then I was the only one in there, just standing there waiting. And they asked me, who am I waiting for? And I told them the name of the customer. And they said it was going to be 3 or 4 more minutes, and would I like a water? And I said yes. And so they gave me a water, and then I just hung out in there waited. I'm getting dehydrated today from not just from talking to you guys while I'm driving, but I'm on this new diet where you have to fast for, I don't know, what is it, 16 hours every day. So I'm trying that out so that way I'm in better health. Let's see, is it this street here? Yeah. Alright, let's see, which house is it going to be. I think it's going to be on the left-hand side. It must be the very last one. Put my hazards on. Yeah, it's the very last one. Alright, let me go deliver it. Hello.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Here you go.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate
Have
it.
a good day.
You too.
Thank you. Alright. He was happy. Friendly customer, no problems. Confirmed delivery, complete delivery. Let's back out of here. This is a very narrow road or driveway. This is not the kind of place I'd want to live. I'd worry about my neighbors crashing into me all the time as everybody leaves for work. Now I just have to remember how I got in here. I'm pretty sure I don't think I did any turns at all, if I recall. I just went down the road and made a right. So I'm gonna do the same thing going back. Resume DoorDash. Charge your phone. Oh, don't run into me. Alright, so where did I leave off at with my story? Oh, I was now successful. I was like, ooh, I'm a successful, self-employed person with a booming business. I'm gonna be so rich. That's where I was at. That was the last thing I had told you guys. And things were fine. But then the housing market crashed. Stock market crashed. All the value in my portfolio crashed, and it was a very dark time for the stock market. But I was still able to pay all my bills, and everything was humming along. And I had, at that particular point, no intention of moving to Las Vegas. I was perfectly happy living where I was at, and I figured, and I really didn't even consider what the current value of my house was at that time. I don't think there was anything online at that time that would tell you what the value of your property was now that the market has crashed. There was only like the news saying that that houses weren't selling and people were going into a foreclosure. And I remember seeing a lot of for sale signs that started popping up in the neighborhood. And I remember that the for sale signs turned into foreclosure signs. I remember that. And that and then the news was saying there's a lot of more foreclosures, and oh yeah, and everybody with the news, there was all these things going on the news where it was like a big deal, and they were like interrupting the regular programming, and saying that they were trying to explain to the public what was going on. Like they're trying to explain how all the mortgages had been like broken up into all these different investment vehicles. And I remember just being I remember that whole period. I remember that whole period when it first happened, thinking, "Well, it's not affecting me, so I'm not worried about it right now." little did I know it was going to be affecting me soon. So, so then at this time, I was getting taxed like a ridiculous amount. I was getting these heavy penalties for making too much money, and I had hired an accountant, I think, at that time, and the accountant was not. I mean, they were supposed to be knowledgeable, but they were not knowledgeable. They were basically just letting me having to, creating, not helping me to navigate the taxes to optimize my situation so I didn't have to pay a lot of taxes. So I had to figure it out on my own. I said, I don't know why I hired this tax person. They're not helping me at all. And I ended up researching that there's a thing called the SEP IRA for self-employed people. And I could put a lot of money into this type of IRA, and it would go in tax deferred, just like a regular IRA, just like a regular 401k would be tax deferred, or even a regular IRA I guess would be tax deferred as well too. You're putting in money before, and so anyway. That's what I started doing, and that resolved that problem. So then I was learning all about accounting. So not only was I trying to learn about investing, I was learning about tax accounting, and at some point I started doing my own taxes, because I'm like, these people do not know what they're doing. Either that, or they're just so busy they can't handle it. So I started a SEP IRA, and I started investing in individual stocks. And let me tell you, the prices on the stocks were so low. Shop at Albertsons. No plus. I'm not gonna do any plus card. I had so many problems yesterday. I'm not gonna deal with that. Five Guys, four. No, it's under $8 now. So what was I saying? So I was now I was developing all these skills. Now that because when you're self-employed, you have to wear many hats. And that's when I was starting to develop my skills at not just running a business, but also, I mean, not just as being a designer and designing stuff, but also running a business and all the different aspects of running a business. All the stuff that involves, the filing of paperwork and managing yourself as a corporation. So I was dealing with all that and learning it on the fly. But I was enjoying it, because I have that kind of mind where I can, as long as it's relevant and it makes sense for me to learn it, I will learn it. But if there's no financial incentive for me to learn it, my brain won't absorb it. Let's see. What is this? Okay, this looks good. Let me do a screen capture of this. Accept. Alright. So hold on, I got another one coming in from DoorDash that I gotta just reject, because I just accepted an UberEats order. Well, this one's good too, but I can't take it. They were both good. They're both about equally good. Let me pause. Okay, we got the next one from UberEats. We're going to go to Petco. I'm going to get $13.03 for 5.6 miles. Shopping for just 2 items. That's not bad. That's actually going to take me closer to home, I think. And, let's see. So anyway, so now I'm learning all these skills. Whereas before, when I was working for a regular company, I really wasn't learning anything. I felt like every year I worked for that company, even though they were paying me good money, every year I felt like I was getting dumber every year. Because, at a lot of jobs, they just want you for one particular skill. and you kind of do the same thing over and over again, and you're not really challenged with a wide variety of projects that are going to really be new. You know, there's not going to be a lot of new things with each one. A lot of them are very similar. It's just different name of a project, but it's the same process. So this is where I was starting to understand the many different aspects of business. So that's what came up next, and also when I started investing in individual stocks using this SEP IRA. This was when the stock market had crashed, so there was all of these companies that were so cheap to buy. Apple was super cheap to buy. Microsoft was super cheap to buy. Netflix was dirt cheap to buy. And I remember, I think I remember buying a lot of shares of stock in Netflix. And this was only when it was still mailing out DVDs. They hadn't become a streaming service yet. So I was doing that, and it just seemed like easy money. I was like, well, and I wasn't selling. I just bought stuff, and then I just held on to it. And so it's all timing. So once again, this is another example of a timing situation. Just like when I purchased my house, I had no idea at the time I was going to buy it, whether it was going to go up or down. And there was no way for me to time when I was buying individual stocks that I was buying them dirt cheap. For all I knew, they were going to get cheaper or go bankrupt. You just don't know. You're just living life, and you're just taking things as they come, hoping you're doing the right thing, and that it's going to make sense in the end. And so all that was happening, and there was a lot of stress I remember going on at that time for family reasons. I was like a guardian of somebody, and I remember I was starting to get sick. I was starting to get health problems. So now I've got these two things going on at the same time. I've got all this success going on one end, and on the other end, I've got this pending catastrophe of the housing market's crashing, and I'm sheltered from it right now because I'm not interested in selling. And then I've got this family situation going on where that's stressing me out, and now I've got a health situation that's going on. So yeah, so it's one of these things where you are just trying to just keep moving. Like, just keep moving. Everything's going to be okay. Just keep going. And eventually, whatever is stressful, it will pass. Yeah, that's how you try to rationalize it, because you just really don't want the floor to fall out from underneath you. So you're just like, just keep going. You're going to be okay. So there was a problem that happened. There was a problem that happened that wasn't related to me, so I can't even discuss that part. But something else happened, and then it had to move. It's like, okay, we've got to move. We don't have the money anymore to stay where we're at, and this is the part where I ended up here in Vegas. So this is where I was like, okay, I've got to figure out a solution to this problem, because there is no way at this rate we're going to be able to, I'm going to be able to continue with this, owning this house. I've got to get out of this house. There's no way I can continue to pay for this anymore. And I could see that there was a lot of change happening financially. I was like, this is bad. So I did some research and I said, oh, we have some family up in Vegas. I said, well, let's see how much houses are in Vegas. So I think I went to like Realtor.com or something like that. I think it was like a Realtor.com. And I go, I wonder how much houses are over there. And I was like, oh, I said, you can get a house over there for like 2 to 300,000, and they're nice looking houses. I was like, well, that's cheap. I said, my house is worth 800,000. I'm gonna be set. I go, if I can sell this house, I'll have a profit of about maybe 300,000, and then I'll be free and clear, and my prayers will be answered. I'll have a house completely paid for. Um, if I make this decision. So I decided, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So I put the house on the market. I said 800,000 for this house, and I had a couple of people look at the house, and they all said, and the people said this house is overpriced. And I said, well, that's the price. And the house, and then the house sat on the market for about 3 months, and nobody came to look at the house. And I said, wow, so this is what everybody's talking about. There's nobody buying houses. So then I lowered the price to like 700, and nobody. Oh, I had one person, they made an offer of like 600. And I'm like, that's too low. I'm not taking that. And so they disappeared. And then I said, well, I said, someone's going to show up. And then a year had passed. A whole year had passed. And nobody made a better offer. And I'll tell you the next thing that happened. If I do another delivery, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to. Oh, wait, I'm doing a delivery. I've got thrown. Hold on. So I forgot we were on our way to do shopping. I can't believe my brain is all scrambled. So the people who originally made the offer for 600, they came back and they said, "Look, we'll give you 600 if it's still available," because they really wanted it, I guess, or they couldn't find anything, or they really wanted it, but everybody was looking for a bargain because of the situation. And I said, okay, that's a good deal. Let's just go. Let's just do it. So that closed, got out of there, and then came up to Vegas, and did not have much of a profit from the sale of that home. There must have been only about maybe $60,000. It was very little. It was like there was not that much profit made from it because there was so much debt owed on that property. All right, we're getting close to Petco, so I've got to focus on parking. Yeah, that was a crazy time. It was a very stressful situation. I mean, it wasn't just financial, it was just everything. Everything was so bad at that point. And all the previous experiences, and this was all, being a kid who grew up poor, you think I wouldn't care. You think I wouldn't care at all about money since I grew up poor. I'd be like, whatever. But I was such a responsible person that I just felt like, I owe money to people. I've got to make sure I pay it back. That's what my mind kept telling me. It's like, you can't fail on this because then you're going to fail these companies that you owe this money to, and you should, if you took out the loan, you should be able to pay it back. So I wasn't the type of person to go bankrupt on anybody, because that's just the way I am. All right, we're here. Let's go in. I got some duck feet. Look, it says duck foot. This isn't what they wanted, but it's a substitute. They wanted bulldog and they only had French bulldog. Let's check out. Barcode on the receipt. Can't scan receipt. Skip. I tried to scan it. It did not want to scan. I gave it a try. Alright, we're going to be going 6 minutes, 1.9 miles. We're going to be going to a house. It's a meet at the door. Please use the doorbell. And it's going to require a pin. Let's see, which way am I going? Right. Well, I'm sure they would have preferred it if I would have gotten the bulldog dog food they wanted, but they did not have it. They wanted the 30-pound bag, and as a substitute they got the French bulldog 17-pound bag, which of course is great for me because that's not going to be as heavy, but it's bad for me because that means the tip is going to be lower, which is which makes it one of these situations where now I wish I wouldn't have taken this, because I wouldn't, if it's lower, I wouldn't want to, I want $2 for every mile. But you can never know. You've just got to take a chance with Uber that everything's going to work out, but I don't think it's going to work out in this case. And normally for a really small, simple order, it's just a leave at the door. But nope, not this one. This one I have to wait for the customer to answer the door. And I think that's it. I think that's all that happened in there. Coincidentally, when I was at the checkout, there was a 30-pound bag of the bulldog dog food, the exact one that the customer wanted, but it was in the return section, where they sometimes get a whole bunch of items and they have to put them back on the shelf, or there's something wrong with them. So I didn't bother to ask the cashier if that bag of dog food was still good. I was like, no, don't get involved in that. You're already done. You've checked out. Just move along and deliver what you got. So that's what I decided to do. But that was unusual. That was the first time that's ever happened to me, where an item the customer wanted, I said wasn't in stock, and then at the register, there the item was that they actually wanted, but it was in a section where obviously it was another customer brought it back and wanted a refund on it. So that was about the only unusual thing. And then when I first went inside the store, they were having a doggy show of some sort. I don't know if they're just it's like a pet adoption. I'm not sure, but there was tons of people just looking at the dogs outside of the Petco. And I think this is gonna be my last delivery for the day. It's 11:12 right now. I normally work until noon, but I'm starting to get tired. So I was just like, you know what, I've done enough. The fun is starting to come off the rose. The bloom is coming off the rose for today. So I'm ready to get this dropped off and just go home and come back out again another day. And let's see if I can tell you anything else. Let's see. I'm trying to remember where I was at with the story. The whole Petco thing threw me off when I saw that bag of dog food. It took my mind off on a different path. Oh wait, I've got to go to. This is going to be a gated community. I've got to get my wallet out and make sure I have my driver's license to show them. Do that next. All right, that's ready to go. And let me see if I can remember what was that. Selling the house and moving to Las Vegas. So this was now around the year 2009, maybe 2010, somewhere around there is when this was all now going down. And I remember, let me put stop accepting new requests. I don't want any more work. I'm done. Turn it off. And I remember coming up here, and there were some people at a house I wanted to get, and they were crying next door. The children were crying because they were being kicked out. So there was a lot of craziness here in Vegas. Up here at the gate. Hello. Oh, did I go the wrong way? No, I just turned at the wrong time. Sorry. I was thinking about what I wanted to tell you guys, then I just realized that we are at the place I need to drop off, and I have to focus. And this is exactly what happens when if I try to think of what I want to tell you in a story, at the same time I'm trying to drop off, I get all thrown. So now I gotta put my brain on the delivery driver track. Okay, let's see. Where is it? It's the second one right here. Okay. Alright, that's all done. Nobody came to the door for the longest time. So I just said, don't have the pin, complete the delivery. Which I don't really like to do, but I don't like to wait. I get like, okay, I'm ready to go. And then the guy came out. Once I had already closed out the order, the guy came out and told me the PIN number. But I said, it's okay, you're good to go. And he apologized for taking so long to get the PIN number. But that's about all that happened with that. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm tired today. I'm on this new diet where I have to fast for, 16 hours. And then I just have an 8-hour window to eat 3 meals a day. So I'll tell you more. That's another thing I can tell you about, but I want to kind of stay on track with this financial success story and how I got to this point. All right. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you again on the next one. Bye for now.